Good Thursday morning. It's, August 20th. This month is flying by. We're so glad you're with us here on the Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller, joined in our Live Impact News studios with super producer Sarah Calloway, pushing the buttons, helping pull some of the stories in. And Sarah, it is another very humid start to our day. How's the hair holding up?
Pretty good so far.
Pretty good so far?
All I've done is walk to my car and then walk into the
But it
station.
does get frizzier on these humid days, yes?
Yes.
I know my wife complains when it gets crazy like this. Dew points well into the 70s, mid to upper 70s for some areas. It is a tropical air mass that we're dealing with right now, and with an approaching front, we have the potential for some really heavy rain developing with some storms. There's a flood outlook. There's a lot to get to. In fact, as we start with our weather headlines, we are going to have details right off the top of the show on this weather impact alert that the 13 News Now weather team has issued for this evening. So for Hampton Roads and parts of northeast North Carolina, but especially Hampton Roads on northward, we do have the potential for some strong to severe storms and some very heavy rain. In addition, we're going to talk about the storms that have been impacting the Midwest. We've got another storm wrap-up and the severe weather outlook. We'll talk about who's next in line to see more severe weather. In addition, Hawaii's got a long road to recovery following the aftermath of Lala. Lala's still out there, a Category 2 hurricane this morning, far away from Hawaii. But we're watching a couple of other areas that have the potential to develop, and we'll have more on that. Also, we're going to focus on a part of Colorado that was dealing with wildfires, has seen burn scarring, and now dealing with runoff from excessive rainfall. You go from fire to flooding. Some residents there hit really hard. We'll have more on that. And how about this? Miami, an all-time record high, was tied on Tuesday. The existing record high has been around since 1942. We'll talk about why it got so hot down in Miami, and we're going to talk about the drought as well. The new drought monitor just in this morning. We'll let you know where parts of the country are standing, and we ought to raise a toast to the Champagne wine growing region in France. You get into that region, and those grape growers, they're having to harvest a full month ahead of what is typical because it has been so hot, Sarah. The grapes got going early. For winemakers, there's such a delicate balance. They have to hit it at just the right time. If they want to keep up their standards, they are scrambling now to harvest the grapes so that it won't be a huge disruption to the champagne that is produced. We'll talk about that story, and we'll have the local forecast through the upcoming weekend. Plenty to get into. We're going to start off with a look at our weather impact alert. So when? Well, late afternoon, we could see some showers and storms popping up, but I really think this evening, that's when we have our best chances for the strongest storms, late this evening and maybe around midnight or so. Gusty winds, hail, maybe some flash flooding as well. I think the likelihood of flash flooding is a little greater farther to the north, but we could see some heavy downpours with some of these cells, so we need everybody to stay weather aware and just monitor what develops late afternoon and into the evening. We're taking a look at the dew points over the last 20 hours. You can see how dew points were in the 60s yesterday afternoon. I actually got out, took a great walk with my wife. We got in some exercise yesterday afternoon, and we were noting it really didn't feel that bad. But overnight, those dew points back into the 70s, and we're now in the mid-70s. Norfolk at 76 for the current dew point. Again, it is a very humid air mass, and we've got more humidity set for the region through the afternoon. Local areas in the upper 70s with those dew points like Edenton feeling very, very humid. That dew point close to 80. About the same in Suffolk, back over to Currituck, just a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. But we're not seeing much cloud cover yet. Right now, skies are still mainly clear. It's just very, very muggy out there. Now, as we take a look at the severe storm outlook for Hampton Roads, later today, the Storm Prediction Center does put us under this level 2, slight risk for severe storms. That's for Southeast Virginia, all of Southeast Virginia, with the exception of the very southernmost parts of Virginia Beach, down around Back Bay. You get down towards Munden Point, some of those areas, down through Knott's Island and into North Carolina there. It is a level 1 threat. And the extreme southeastern, just little corner of Chesapeake, also under level 1 or marginal risk. Everybody else to the north, under that slight risk level 2. Primary concern is going to be gusty winds and excessive rainfall. There may also be some hail that develops. It's not a really super pronounced area, with a high threat, but it is elevated a little bit. So we want folks to be mindful of that. All right, as we take a look here at the other concern, we have to know that there could be some excessive rainfall, and that flood potential extends up this level 2 of 4 to the north through the Baltimore area, through Philadelphia, all the way up to New York City. So some major metropolitan areas have to be concerned with the potential of flash flooding. And it's looking like 2 to 4 inches of rain will be possible for some of those areas, especially a little farther to the north. So we're going to be watching that. Now, what's driving all of this? We've got a cold front off to the northwest. You can see the showers out there over western parts of Pennsylvania into Kentucky. That front is going to sag down into our region and give us that threat for severe weather and for the heavy rain. So this is what we are watching again, this weather impact alert set up for this evening. All right. Now, in addition to this, there have been some big storms erupting across the central U.S., and we want to talk to you about that. The Midwest is dealing with the aftermath from another round of severe weather, and it comes just days after catastrophic flooding killed at least 7 people in Indiana. ABC's Faith Abube has more.
Overnight, another round of severe weather slamming the Midwest only a week after deadly storms ripped through the region. In Morton, Illinois, heavy rain turning streets into rivers, leaving drivers stranded. This parking lot inundated with water. A similar scene unfolding in Ohio, west of Columbus, where first responders have been rescuing drivers who were stuck trying to cross flooded roads. And in Muncie, Indiana, a reported tornado touching down. Communities there are still cleaning up from last week's storms that killed 7 people and triggered catastrophic flooding. Now, more heavy rain threatening to make matters worse. More than 70,000 customers in the state were still without power overnight.
They're losing food. Homes are getting warmer. They're worried about loved ones and had to make hard choices to get through the day.
Officials say it could take until next week for power to be restored. The storms moving east today expected to bring heavy rain and possible flash flooding from D.C. to Philadelphia to New York. In the south, a different weather threat, extreme heat, scorching temperatures and high humidity, making it feel like well over 100 degrees from Texas to the Carolinas. And the heat now turning deadly. 2 children died in separate hot car incidents in Texas and in Utah. Meanwhile, Hawaii still cleaning up after Hurricane Lala's remnants pummeled the state. Now, another potential tropical system taking shape near the islands. Downpours could trigger mudslides and flash flooding in already saturated areas.
Faith Abube, ABC News.
And in that package, they touched on the extreme heat for parts of the country. Again, bracing for another round, heat and humidity. Let's look at the severe weather outlook because, as I mentioned, we do have that level 2 threat here locally. We also have a slight risk level 2 back across parts of Nebraska, northwest Iowa, and much of south central Minnesota, even parts of western Wisconsin. So we have to watch all of this. Wind is going to be the primary threat here in the mid-Atlantic and areas just off to the north, but there's also a tornado potential. You see that area back across Nebraska up through Minnesota. They'll want to pay attention, but the area of greatest potential for tornadic development, basically from Baltimore over to Dover, so northern Delaware, and then you get up towards Atlantic City. You've got that second tier with a 5% chance of tornadic development within 25 miles of any given point shaded in orange. You can see there's that kind of first level, 2% chance, all the way up through New York City. But I would say Philly really needs to pay close attention. Possible tornadoes there over through Winslow, Toms River, Surf City all of these areas need to know that there is a chance that they could see isolated tornadoes. There's a little bit of a hail risk here as well, a greater risk of hail back across Nebraska up through Minnesota. Now for tomorrow, slight risk back across central Nebraska. We've got a lower risk, a marginal one, for central and southern parts of North Carolina down through South Carolina and Georgia. And looking ahead to Saturday, the Ohio River Valley with a marginal risk as well as portions of northern Idaho and western Montana. All right, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the tropics. We'll update you on recovery from Hurricane Lala and show you what's next. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller. You know, we've been talking a lot about the tropics and the action around Hawaii. Unfortunately, Hurricane Lala did a really big number on the Big Island with lots of rain and issues, and the recovery there is going to take a while. You know, this road to recovery is a long one, and the storm left residents on Maui completely cut off for a while. Floodwaters washed away the only bridge that goes to lower Nahiku, and now the only way in and out is 2x4 wooden plank. It's just a little brushing there over a rushing creek. Now, that's not practical for getting food and supplies in, and he says many of the trapped residents are older.
There are older people that live on the other side of the bridge that I'm really not sure how they're going to get in and out, how they're going to get supplies in and out. We're working on trying to figure out some sort of walking bridge for them, but it's a 40-foot span, so creating a safe walking bridge is, you know, it's a bit of a feat, and we haven't figured out a solution yet.
Residents say the 40-foot bridge had been so neglected for years, they decided to fix it themselves back in 2019. Now they want the county to rebuild it. Officials say they're not sure who owns the bridge, but they are looking into it. Let's look into the future with the tropics here. And I mentioned Lala is away from Hawaii now. As we take a look at these graphics, I'll just give you the 8 a.m. advisory update. And again, well off to the west of Hawaii and moving away. It's getting picked up by some steering currents ahead of another front, kind of drawing it off to the north. There are 3 other areas in the Eastern Pacific, well, really 2 in the Eastern Pacific, 1 in the Central Pacific that we're watching. And that one that's getting a little closer to Hawaii has a 90% chance for development. The other area there in yellow, only a 20% chance, and that one's pretty far away, so plenty of time to watch that. There's another one with an 80% chance. It's closer to the Mexican coast, but that one's remaining offshore as well. So as we focus on the area with a 90% chance, take a look at what the models do. There was some concern yesterday, and that area of red and yellow you see off there to the west, that is Lala, again, moving away from Hawaii. But there you see the development of this next one, potentially what could become Mocha. And if Mocha gets close enough, it could produce some more wind and rain across Hawaii. I will say both the European, which you see that red circle indicating that location, and the American model, the GFS, do not get as close to Hawaii. They keep it a little farther to the south, and they do weaken it compared to what we dealt with Lala. So let's hope that holds true. As for the rest of the tropics, no cyclone activity expected in the coming week here in the Atlantic, but between the 26th and September 1st, there is a low risk of development in the Atlantic basin, so we'll watch that, and higher chances out there in the Pacific. Looking ahead the following week, this is September 2nd through the 8th. You'll also notice that low chance for development in the main development region here in the Atlantic basin, and a moderate risk of development over there in the Pacific. So that's what's going on with the tropics. We're going to take a short break, and I'll have more coming up after this, including parts of Colorado hit by fire and flooding and record heat for Miami. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the weather desk. I was taking a look here, trying to get an updated wildfire map for you and take you out west. Again, folks in the west have still been dealing with wildfires out there, and you can see there it is, that wildfire smoke. We're going to take you, though, to Colorado specifically, because in Colorado, not only have they been fighting the wildfires and they've been dealing with the drought, but those wildfires have really scarred some of the area. You know, one woman thought she had dodged a bullet when the Aspen Acres fire spared her house last month, but then that burn scar it left behind, it really led to a new disaster, constant flooding. Michael Lagerwell has the story.
It's like living in a war zone right now.
Carol Campbell's home in Beulah sits amidst utter destruction. Her neighbor's house reduced to ash. Her own yard covered in flood debris and trash bags.
Now that I got the debris cleared out, I need to figure out sandbags or rock or something to not let the water go this way.
This is the fourth time Campbell has had to clean up flood debris since her own evacuation order ended.
It's exhausting, it's very unsettling.
And it probably won't be the last.
The fire chief said that I shouldn't rebuild my wrought iron fence for at least 3 years, because after a big fire event like this, flooding happens for 3 to 5 years afterwards. So it made me cry.
The flooding took out the far side of her fence and has filled the lower portion of her yard with debris. And it's going to stay that way for a while because of the long-term flooding risk beyond the 2026 monsoon season.
I think our state government, our governor, our state reps need to circle the wagons and help everybody that is affected by these fires. We need help.
A tough situation there. You know, the heat's been a big story, and you know that it has been so hot when you hear Miami has an all-time record high. They reached that again on Tuesday. And Sarah, I got to tell you, you know, you had found this story and I thought, okay, I'm going to fact check this, okay? They tied their all-time record high of 100 degrees down in Miami. And I'm sure there are folks here in Hampton Roads or Northeast North Carolina, certainly other parts of the country, that go, really? 100 degrees? Were you surprised?
I was.
That Miami only 100 degrees, right?
Yeah, I Googled it because I was like, I'm pretty sure we hit that here in Norfolk
We do.
every summer. At
Well,
least
not
2 or 3
every summer,
times.
but we do. We've hit it multiple times, and we've been much warmer than that. But, you know, it's interesting. You take a look at the location, Miami, right there on the coast. They typically get a sea breeze and some cooling effect from the ocean. That's why it's very difficult for Miami to get to that kind of a record high. But a couple things are going on. And keep in mind, the last time they made it to 100, it's only the second time since 1895 is, I think, when they started keeping records here at Miami. But the last time was July 21st of 1942. It's been a long time, right? They had this dome of heat and then a strong west wind that overpowered their typical sea breeze. And boom, Miami got to 100. So really impressive record there. All right, we'll take a look at the drought monitor, and this just updated. So let's take a little closer look. I want to zoom in a little selfishly here to Hampton Roads, and it looks like we're still abnormal dry right along the northern edge of Virginia Beach and over to Norfolk and Portsmouth. Obviously, so much of the area in better shape. Eastern North Carolina, not under any drought considerations at all right now. Off to the north, abnormal dry for the eastern shore, the middle peninsula, and the northern neck. As we take a look out to the west, there's still some areas with extreme drought west of Roanoke Rapids and out south of South Boston. That area really hasn't changed too much, but we have seen some more subtle improvements across parts of the region. Still some extreme drought for the southeast. Parts of Florida doing a little bit better, but there are still areas there that are dealing with it. And you still find some areas of exceptional drought out to the west. So a lot to consider and to continue monitoring with all of that. Now, in addition, I want to take you over to the Champagne region of France, because this is something that we've been talking about. The heat there has brought about a bit of a crisis. They're dealing with it, but this is the earliest champagne harvest on record. They're beginning it now. They've been dealing with back-to-back heat waves in France, and the wine producers, the grape growers, are racing to pick the grapes. This is, again, the earliest on record now occurring. The higher the normal temperatures and drought accelerated the ripening, leaving growers with a narrow window to preserve the quality of the world-famous sparkling wine. Now, longtime growers say mid-August harvest is almost unheard of. It typically begins in mid-September, and there they are out working to get those world-famous champagne grapes. And you know, people sometimes say anything, you know, that's bubbly, they think, oh, we're having champagne. You're having sparkling wine. In order for it to be champagne, those grapes need to come from that region. So there you go. All right, we're going to take another quick break. When we come back, we'll have more on our local weather, and we'll look ahead to the weekend. Welcome back to the Weather Desk. We'll take a look live outside with our Thompson Creek Window Company sky view. You can see it is mostly sunny right now. We'll focus on what's coming up with the heat, humidity. Right now, 83, dew point of 76. So not too bad, but you factor in that high humidity, and it's feeling like the low to mid 90s already across parts of the area. Afternoon feels like temperatures getting close to 100 or more, so be prepared for that. Again, we're in good shape out the door this morning, but take a look again. Storms are going to develop late afternoon, and then chances for storms later this evening. Those are the ones that could produce gusty winds and those locally heavy downpours. Some more rain chances later on Friday, although the future cast there with the graph model doesn't show a tremendous amount on Friday. Some of the other models, including the HER, have more. All right, temperatures today, low to mid 90s, increasing clouds. Some of those late day storms could be strong to severe. Very important you stay weather aware and keep checking back with us here at 13 News Now. Some more unsettled weather through the weekend. Have a good one. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.